An error occurred. What the fuck?
Uh-oh.
We informed them so they can fix it. An error
Oh,
occurred.
they won't let me go on X because I don't have a premium account.
It's your.
No.
What happened?
They won't let me go on X because I don't have a premium account.
Oh.
So I'll just save it. I'll just do Facebook because it's easy to switch over.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so we're on live already.
We are on live.
Okay.
But we're not on my Twitter
Hello,
account.
everybody. Okay, so we're all getting together to talk about this crazy week we just had. Today was even just crazier, and I feel like things unfold, as the days go on, like throughout the day. It's hard to keep up, especially, if you're working and just getting these news alerts and all this, it's nuts. But I just want to start off by saying, we've got a lot to talk about tonight, but I just want to start off by saying, can we, it feels like there's always five, or let me just say this, a handful of Democrats who do not get the fucking assignment. And it's every single time. I just don't get it. If we could just all get on the same page for once, especially on this, this bill that was passed the House today, and it's now going to the Senate, and we're going to talk about that later in the live. I don't think this is a hard thing to stand on. Basically, this is our tax dollars going to fund abuse, I don't think
we've been this unified since we tried to take over Greenland. Those are the two things we've ever been the most unified on. And let me just say, this is really, I have a lot of thoughts, but I'll just say one thing up top and y'all can discuss it and everything else you want to say about this. The pushback that I get when I talk about something like this, where we see a handful of Democrats depart from everybody else, we don't unify, and they're the reason in this case that the spending bill passed, right? So if they had voted differently, we could have stopped funding DHS. And the response I get from the internet is, you don't understand. They are in purple districts. And to that I say, what is the fucking point of having a Democrat elected if they have to vote with Republicans?
They might as well have Republicans.
Yeah.
Why have a Democrat in office then at that point? What bill would you sacrifice? What's the hill to die on? Not funding ICE seems like a pretty good one, right?
And that's what I was going to say. If you have to die on a hill, this is the one. You are seeing beatings. You're seeing people pulled from cars, windows being smashed that are waiting. They're waiting to go to the doctor. And
here's the other thing.
I don't think most people are opposed to this. I think most people, even Trump supporters, support this. And what I posted on my account was, I think you're doing a disservice to your constituents, because I think the bulk of Americans support reining in ICE. I think most people think that they are reckless and lawless. And even if they do want solid immigration reform, even if they do want people deported back to their country, they don't like seeing it done this way. And if you're going to represent people based on what their wishes are, then I think even in purple, even in more red districts, you would see most people saying, you know what? Yeah, something's got to be done. So I really don't understand the argument here that anybody is making for these 7 Democrats. I just don't see it.
Here's the other thing. These Democrats, since they are in purple districts, they need grassroots people like us to make the calls, to knock on doors, to give them money. And who will do that for them now? And it really is a huge slap in the face of the Latino community and the immigrant community at large. Because, Democrats, most of them voted against this, but those 7 Democrats will be the reason why a lot of Latinos stay home in 2026.
Yeah, at best, they've made people apathetic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I would say this, and I did say this already, and I tried to be really nice about it, but I was like, look, if you can't find a way to communicate with your constituents, if you can't find a way to find common ground on something like this, where they are terrorizing people, where they are kidnapping children off the streets, where they are spraying gases in people's face, where mothers are being shot and killed in the face, it's a lot of the face stuff. If you can't find common ground with your constituents on that, then you need to get out of the way so we can find someone who can, because there is going to be someone who is willing to take on that extra effort. I'm not saying it's going to be easy. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying it's necessary at this point. And if you are unwilling or incapable of meeting that demand, then you need to be honest about that and step aside and let someone else take that role. I'm not bagging on all the Democrats. I'm saying these 7 people in particular either made a choice out of like cowardice or just misplaced I guess read. I don't know if they're just not tapped in with their constituents, or they just don't know how to convey and message to their constituents. But whatever the reason, it was a wrong decision, and it's now going to hurt the entire party at large. Now it's going to hurt everyone. So not only are we funding these terrorists, but we also now as a party look weak and ineffective, like we can't unify once again. And that's what everyone's saying. It's like, oh, these Democrats are complicit. Oh, these Democrats are weak. And it's not. It's like these 5 or 7 or 10 outliers, and then you've got 200 plus other people doing the right thing. So this is a bad look all around.
Let's be clear. Most of these folks are repeat offenders. They also do not communicate with their constituents.
Right.
Being in Texas, Henry Cuellar is my representative. Unfortunately, he has been forever and too long. He does not, his office does not answer the phones. They do not respond. I get the same blanket email constantly from his office. It's the same one. It doesn't matter what the topic or issue is. It's the same exact fucking blanket email for everything. Thanks for reaching out, blah, 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 yada, yada bullshit. It's the same exact one forever and a day. He does not respond. And I let my feelings known today in a thread in which I preciously included his crimes in the screenshots. This man accepted a pardon from Trump. One you have to pay for, by the way. So he already was a dino, right? A Democrat in name only. He's been this way. He allowed the wall to be built through Laredo, which is my dad's hometown. He has always been this way. And now to have paid however many millions for his pardon, for him and his wife, for the multitude of crimes this man has committed, the FBI has raided his home, his offices, all of that. So
that, I mean, and that's people get frustrated because the Democratic Party just does not have a way to mentor up and coming candidates and push people like this out in primaries, because again, they're so desperate for votes because they can't rely on their constituents the way that Republicans can.
And it's hard to lift up people primarying him when leadership in the Democratic Party keep endorsing this man.
Yeah,
every single election cycle, we have a progressive, Jessica Cisneros, who has run against him twice. She has come this close to beating him, and during early voting, leadership, all of them come out and say, nope, he's our man. Come out, vote for him. The entire Democratic Party endorses
every
him.
damn time. It's so frustrating.
They have got to be willing to take a loss. Okay, they've got to be willing to maybe take a loss now, or they're going to lose the whole ship. Is the problem, right?
Yeah.
That's what it is.
People, this election cycle are so frustrated that we're not going to put up with this anymore. It's just, it's gotten to this point. You know, there was this whole conversation about like, we need to get rid of the seniors or the older people in Congress. It's really not even about that at this point. It's from people who aren't willing to do what it takes, who aren't brave, and are just going the easy route when there's so many issues that are affecting people's lives. People are struggling, and it's not even just the economy. Like, I don't want to see children taken into ICE custody. Like, I just can't deal with that. And I need representatives to stand up for that.
The larger problem I see with this is that it demonstrates a lack of leadership of Hakeem Jeffries. And also, I'll give you $1 million if you can tell me who the Democratic minority whip is.
Why would
anybody?
They're probably not doing shit. But
anybody?
Okay.
Right.
Is it Catherine Clark?
So that's my point. That's my point. That's Catherine Clark from Massachusetts. And my point is that were the Democratic Party a functioning resistance organization at this point, no Democrats would have voted for that because they would have been whipped.
Yeah.
I don't mean literally, but maybe I mean literally at this point.
Maybe.
Because
So to that point, these 7 Democrats were allowed to do this.
Right.
This was not just them going rogue.
Right.
This was pre-decided that this was okay either for their reelection or that, this is not coming out of thin air. Like when Pelosi was leader, you stayed in line. They made a decision and stayed in line. And yes, some people were allowed to if it took saving their seat, but they still won.
right.
Democrats
The votes were counted.
But we're now to the point where I think you lose your seat. Like at this point, like I don't know, like this is not beneficial to us as a party for you to keep your seat and have a job if you are not going to vote for us in times where it is dire and we need it. Like that, this isn't one of those times where, oh, it doesn't matter because we would have lost anyway. There weren't enough votes. I mean, I still think that's cowardice and it sends a bad message for them not to be unified. But okay, you can make an argument with me if this bill would not have passed. But if we get so close that we're within a 1 or 2 votes of this bill passing, or maybe like we could conceivably convince a Republican to come over, maybe that you can't, that's unhelpful to us. I don't care if you have your seat at that point. I'd rather you not. And then we can truly say to the public, hey, the Democrats don't have a majority. If you put us in the majority, we can do something. Now you're like, well, you got to put us in the majority plus 7 because we've got these other people that don't give a shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like now you have to not only meet a threshold to beat the Republicans, but you have to beat them by such a convincing margin because you have all these stragglers, these like Joe Manchins and like whatever the hell, Kirsten Cinemas that are never going to vote on party lines. You don't see that with Republicans because they pick like 2 issues. They're like, hey, do you like abortion? No, great. Do you like guns? Awesome. And also, do you want to deport some people? Cool. Now let's run the country. And that's how they do it. And it works for them. And I'm not suggesting that the Democrats do that, but I am suggesting that they step back and maybe take a broader look at this and just say, hey, we're going to all get together on the same page that this is fascism and it's bad. And we can pick a different word for it that everybody understands. We don't have to pick fascism if that seems too hard. We can just pick Nazis. I know that's oversimplifying, but people are going to get it, right? We can just pick a word and we can agree that uniformly we all don't like this and even acknowledge that. Go to your constituents and say, hey, this is going to have to be a bipartisan. We're going to all have to just agree together that we don't want to see children treated this way. That we don't.
I'm totally suggesting we do that. They need to learn from the MAGA playbook here. Yep. They're horrid and they are horrid in lockstep. They can say whatever they want to say behind closed doors. And I'm so sick and tired of hearing Democrats say, oh, my Republican colleagues, they really don't like Trump. They really don't like what they're doing. They don't give names. They don't say shit about it. I'm tired of that.
Drop the name. We want to give it to me.
It's time for scorched earth.
That playbook and be in lockstep. We don't like Nazis. We don't like that playbook.
So they're not listening to the people at all. Yeah. But go ahead.
And the fact of the matter is that money, they're going after immigrants, people of color. They're also going after citizens. And it's going to be citizen Democrats. They're going door to door asking, who are your Asian neighbors? It's not going to be long before they're going to be going door to door asking, who are your Democratic neighbors?
Yep.
And they just gave them $10 billion to do that.
I don't think people are paying enough attention to the internal memo saying that ICE is now, according to their internal logic, able to forcibly enter homes if they think that there's an illegal. That basically makes the Fourth Amendment null and void. And if you think that that's not going to be used against you, then you're foolish.
We're going to definitely get into that.
We were already treading delicately through those Fourth Amendment cases. Like, you don't want that going before the Supreme Court. When they start bringing stuff like that, to the Supreme Court and they start pulling back our protections in the Fourth Amendment, it was already kind of tricky. Like, I mean, certain things were clearly defined, but it's kind of like that Roe v. Wade thing where it gets to be open up to interpretation. Then all of a sudden you got a Dobbs decision, and now half the country can't get access to reproductive health care. So that's going to happen in terms of your freedoms. And I think the party that's supposed to be wanting less government is probably going to be really horrified once they realize that's what's actually happening. And that's where the connecting with the people comes into play. And we've talked about this as reformers a lot, how the Republican Party has gotten together, they've gotten in these spaces and they've cultivated those relationships. And so we saw working families migrating over to the Republican Party because they felt like the Democratic Party had stopped talking to them. I mean, forget young white men, forget them. Talk about everybody. Like the Democratic Party just basically writes people off and says, you should just know that we don't like Nazis, so come vote for us. But you can't, that's not how politics works. The Republican Party knows this. And that's part of the reason why they have such loyal constituency. Like, obviously, partially because they only believe in like 3 things, but also because they go to these people and they say, hey, like, we care about you. Not really. I mean, that's a total lie, but we're going to tell you to your face that we do. And it's convincing enough that people believe it. And the Democrats don't want to play that game. And until they do, this is what we're going to have. These 7 or 8 people who pretend to be Democrats sometimes, that lower our stock altogether and make the party as a whole not a very sellable party.
Every time. I want to share something with you guys. So when we look at a list like this, like these people that, oh, we're going to basically vote with Republicans that aren't listening to their constituents, that aren't even looking at polls, because the polls are definitely against ICE. I think we need to pay attention to Jared Golden, because to that district. He's not running for re-election, but there are some people that have stepped up, to run. We need to look at who these people are. But the key thing about Maine, like, I think this is an interesting district we're talking about. Maine right now, ICE is going into Maine and they are snatching people. Maine. Okay?
Yes.
Maine.
You ain't safe in Maine. You're not safe anywhere. Okay?
Yeah. So this is someone who voted against or is voting to give ICE more funding when he has to be aware that they are snatching people in Maine. Like, this is fairly new that this has been happening. And Maine, are they called Mainers? What are they called?
Mainers.
They're not good with this, and this is just the beginning. So there's so he announced that he will not seek re-election. And I'm just reading this because I did a little research. A competitive Democratic primary field has formed with Joel Baldacci, he's a state senator, Matthew Dunlap, Paige Loud, she's a social worker, Jordan Wood is a former congressional staffer. They're all running or filing paperwork right now. So these are people we need to look into. And, for me, Casey and I were talking about this. I kind of want to find someone who is talented and who is not like a stranger to social media. And because I've worked with some candidates that just don't. It's hard to fix that if they're not used to communicating on social media. Not that that's all there is, but I think that's a big part of it. If we have a field of 5 people to choose from, just look at all the things that are important to you. And maybe we just need to support a couple of these candidates in the primary, because and one of my big criteria, and I'm sure you all agree, is like, where are you with ICE right now? Would you have voted to advance this bill to the Senate? Like, we can just start there. So I just wanted to say these other ones, there is no clear opponent right now. And in order to really fight them, what's that?
There is for Cuellar. Our primary is just a couple months away, March 3rd.
Oh, okay.
Henry Cuellar does have 3 challengers, 2 Democrats and an independent, and I'm going to be doing a deep dive into them. The 2 Democrats are Andrew Valentine and Ricardo Villarreal, and the independent is Adriel Ventura Lopez. Our primary is March 3rd. Henry Cuellar keeps getting away with shit because Pelosi, Schumer, and Jeffries keep endorsing this man. All of leadership keeps endorsing this man at the 11th hour during early voting. Jessica Cisneros had him in the bag last time, And then everyone came out to endorse him, even though during early voting, the FBI was literally raiding his offices and his home.
So who is the opponent here?
Tom?
Like the primary, who is the key primary opponent?
It seems that Ricardo Villarreal is the one that has the most momentum online, that is. And I am not on Facebook, so I don't know what the story is there. I have to do my own research on I'm not in Webb County. And the Democrats do not have a large presence in South Texas. They just don't on social media, any of them. But the three names again, the two Democrats, Andrew Valentine, Ricardo Villarreal, and the independent is Adriel Ventura Lopez. But he does have three challengers. So I've got that in my thread, my rage thread that I put out 2 hours ago. But I did put all three challengers' names on that thread, and the primary date of March 3rd. I did put, let's research, get out the vote for someone on our side.
I mean, these people need money. That's the thing. We've got to see who has the ability to raise enough money to go after him, and who's a good candidate. Like, when you see them in person, do they have the charisma to beat him?
That's it. And the willingness to evolve, right? Because there are people like Susan and I just sat in a call with Beth Macy. She's running in District 6 in Virginia, right? Which is a deeply red district. And one of the things she's doing is a listening tour where she's going to all of these, cities and counties, and she's listening to her constituents, and they're angry, and she's letting them have that time and that space. And she's not afraid to do that. And I think that that's part, if you're out there, you're doing what's right for the people. And if you really are opposed to Nazis, like if that's your platform, then you should feel pretty good about going into a district like that and hearing what people have to say and seeing how you can help solve those problems and being honest when you can't and being honest with why you can't. And I think that underestimating people that are moderates, I know you can't solve all of the cult problems. I get it. But like the moderates and the people who are really just trying to afford healthcare and rent and groceries for their family, they just have been victim to a lot of propaganda from the other side. They haven't heard from Democrats, and they need to hear. But first, they need to be allowed to speak too and know that they have a safe space to do that. And I think the right candidates have to have that charisma that you talked about, but also have to not be afraid to get into it, to get down and dirty, and know that you're not going to win without taking some hits along the way.
I know that Marie Gluesenkamp Perez, her opponent is, or her primary opponent is Brent Henrich, I'm not sure. And I know that Don Davis has no opponent, and the deadline has passed to file. So we're stuck with him. Tom Suozzi, you have till the 30th or the 31st of March to file. So maybe we can recruit someone amazing.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, he has a lot of support, but I'm about sick of him. Because I mean, he was supposed to be a good. Anyway, never mind. Let's move on.
Marie Gluesenkamp Perez has. I mean, I knew immediately like she was going to be on that list. She is every single time. I mean, the people in Washington must be in that area specifically. If you have voted even kind of along Democratic lines, ever have to be so frustrated because she was also one of the ones that voted to censure Al Green.
Al Green.
Yeah, she voted for that. There's a bunch.
Susie did too. Didn't Susie also?
Yes, he was too.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
Suozzi keeps doing this over and over and over again.
Okay, so we're going to circle back to ICE and the bill and everything later, but we
are going to come back to this. But we need to talk about. There's a lot we have to get to. We also have to talk about Trump and his hand that he knocked on a table.
So Jack Smith testified today for 5 hours. Now, I don't know about y'all, but I was working, so I didn't hear a lot of it. I heard some of it. What did you guys?
I listened to a bunch.
What's that, Chris?
I listened to a bunch of it.
Okay, so talk. What'd you think?
You can't be a Jack Smith and testify in front of Republicans because he is meticulous and professional and thoughtful, and they are bombastic and have no regard for truth. So one exchange that really stood out to me was with Jim Jordan, and he was berating him about the amount of money that he spent. And he was like, do you know exactly the amount of money he spent? And of course, Jack Smith does not want to lie because that's bad. So he said offhand, I am not exactly sure, but I know that we followed the law. We submitted expense reports every 6 months, and I'd be happy to get that for you. And then Jim Jordan went further and said, well, how much did you pay to informants? And again, Jack Smith said, I don't remember offhand, but I'd be happy to look that up. And I know we put that. And he said, do you know you gave $20,000 to one informant? So Jim Jordan was painting it like Jack Smith bribed people to testify against Trump in order to bring him down. And that very much that's a microcosm of how the hearing went. And the Democrats that questioned, I didn't think hit back hard enough. And I think that obviously they don't have control of the committee. And so their hands are slightly tied, but it's going to be very easy for Republicans to spin his testimony into, it was a witch hunt. See, it was the Biden administration using the Justice Department against Trump. And I'm incredibly frustrated by that. And I'm also incredibly heartened by the fact that he truly was the most professional person you could have had. He is a phenomenal lawyer. He's incredibly intelligent. And I am irate with Biden and Merrick Garland that they didn't start this process sooner so that we wouldn't be in this hellscape of a timeline.
One of the most frustrating things about that is that the questioning from Jim Jordan on that is projection. You know 100% that everything they're asking of the Democrats is what the Republicans are doing. That's exactly what it is. It's always that. It's they are the ones doing some of the most vilest criminal behaviors behind the scenes, but they're just not getting caught. And then they come with their full audacity shown for the world to ask questions like this because that's where their minds go, because that's what they do. It's classic.
Merrick Garland was one of Biden's biggest mistakes, and even Biden knows it. I mean, Doug Jones would have been a far superior AG, and he would not have been afraid to prosecute what needed to be prosecuted. And I always felt, and initially I will admit, I was like, oh, great, Merrick Garland, this is finally some payback for, the loss of the Supreme Court seat. That went away within hours or whatever, so, but I always felt like Merrick Garland didn't really take January 6th. I felt like he had no intention of prosecuting January 6th. And I don't think he did until the January 6th committee got going. And we, the people, were so outraged by all the evidence we were seeing. He finally had to act. I want to show you all something here. Let me find it.
Biden didn't learn the lesson, and Merrick Garland didn't learn the lesson of Richard Nixon and Gerald Ford. Again, there's an inflection point.
No, go ahead.
There's an inflection point where if we had treated that moment differently, if Nixon had been prosecuted post Watergate, post him resigning, again, we would not be on this timeline. And if nothing else, that should have been a lesson that when stuff happens like that, you prosecute it and you make sure it never happens again. And Merrick Garland and Joe Biden did not learn that lesson.
I want to play this real quick.
And I will be watching.
Oh, sorry to set this up. This was June 13th, 2022. I wrote that down. And this is after the January 6th committee was starting. This is Merrick Garland's comment.
Watching, and I will be watching all the hearings, although I may not be able to watch all of it live, but I'll be sure that I'll be watching all of it. And I can assure you that the January 6th prosecutors are watching all the hearings as well. There's nothing that's coming in the way of our investigation. We are proceeding with full urgency with respect, as I've said.
I don't believe that. They were not going with urgency on their investigation.
No.
And I don't think they really got going until January 6th committee was really deep into their findings. And I think if Jack Smith had been appointed earlier, we might have gotten Trump out of
It seems like they did it backwards. In my mind, what's the point of the Department of Justice? So the House should have been getting information from the DOJ's investigation, not the DOJ getting information from the House's investigation. That seemed absolutely asinine and backwards.
Like I had PTSD. I didn't even want to listen to Jack Smith's hearing because we were all so hyped up for the Mueller investigation, right? With all the Superman memes and all that kind of stuff. And then the Garland special counsel and nothing, and then nothing, and then nothing. And now we're all hyped up for Jack Smith. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not falling for this shit again. But
remember when we thought that was going to be it? Remember when we thought that was going to do it?
Yeah.
It's hard because you watch Merrick Garland and you think, if we had done some things differently, and this, by the way, everybody wants to blame Ruth Bader Ginsburg, but there's a lot of blame to go around, and she's probably one of the least on my list because part of the problem is that the Democrats did not use their influence to stop them from just doing whatever the fuck they wanted with Supreme Court justices, right? Like they sat on that appointment for a year, and how? Like, how are you not in the media making that a big deal every day? They just waited. And then Merrick Garland probably would have been a pretty good Supreme Court justice, but he's a terrible he's awful running the Department of Justice. Like he could have maybe he could have been a better justice. And that's the problem is now his legacy is completely ruined.
With everything going on right now, and all of the, I don't know all my American sayings, hubbubaloo or whatever.
Hullabaloo.
Yeah, with the blue salami coming this year, are my hopes up? Okay, I'm trying to keep very level about this. Do I think the Democrats have any game plan in case that doesn't happen? No, because they had nothing in the hopper if Trump won in 2024. They had zero plan. They had zero contingencies for us. Nothing. And they're still voting with this monster against our interests. It's very hard. I will obviously keep fighting for our best interests in Texas. I'll keep doing that. And I know some of us were in a meeting this morning, where we had to fight for immigration to be put on the fucking table just this morning, where people in leadership were saying, let's not talk about Minnesota. And for the very few Hispanic activists on this call, we were screaming into pillows, having to put ourselves on mute to be like, are you fucking kidding us? That's what the entire world is talking about right now. We have to talk about this. And so many of you may have seen the hashtag that did include ICE today, fund healthcare, not ICE.
Well,
I
think there are a lot of people that out there that really that are in Democratic leadership that really are afraid of this immigration issue. They're afraid that it's 2024 again, or 2023, 2024, and the entire country voted for, well, not the entire country, but a good portion of the country voted for this. They think that people voted for this. And I would like to say to everybody that I don't think that people voted for this. I think that people voted for racism and misogyny. They didn't vote for their neighbors to get rounded up. They didn't vote for thugs to go break car windows and pull people out and beat the crap out of them.
That's the problem. People sit from their privilege and their comfort, and they don't want to know about those things. So if you quietly snuck these people away in the night and no one ever heard about it again, everybody would be fine with that. But the problem is that you're doing it in front of cameras, in daylight, to children, to grandmothers, not to the gang criminals that we were promised, right? Like, not to the terrible people that they were told that they were going to deport, all of the worst people, right? No, it's little children, little baby 5-year-olds in front of their faces, mothers gone, dead, because
but I want to bring it, Casey, I want to bring it back to the whole Latino issue, okay? Because I think that the Latino vote in the Democratic Party is taken for granted, okay? I think that time and time again, they were an afterthought. There was so little done to get. I was helping run some phone banks for the DCCC, and we had phone banks where there were only 2 people on the call, two volunteers on the call. Why is that? It's not because there aren't thousands of Latino activists in the Democratic Party. It's because it's an afterthought. So nobody's organizing that.
It's like
There's
that with
very
rural
little
voters.
Spanish content.
They've done that with rural voters. They've decided that these people aren't going to be biggest advocates. They may not vote for them. They're not worth fighting for. And that's the message that it sends them. And that's why they don't show up.
We're 12% of the population though, and climbing. Okay. In New Mexico, it's 50%. In California and Texas, we're 40%. In Arizona and New Mexico, we're 30%. And we were an afterthought.
Fractured contingency of people like the Democrats do, every percentage counts. And that's the point. You can't run on a platform of helping everybody if you're like, well, it's only 5 or 10%, right? Everybody actually does statistically matter, but morally and ethically matter. So it's a problem all around. And I agree with you 100%. Like, I think that this is such a misstep by the Democrats.
I mean, during the campaign, Trump was out there calling Latinos and immigrants animals, poisoning the blood of our country, savages, not human, rapists. And rapists. And but that was before. But during the campaign, he was calling us animals and saying it's going to be a bloody story getting them out. Okay.
Poisoning the blood.
The Democrats run one ad with that. It wasn't even mentioned in the town halls that Kamala Harris did on Univision. She could have said that, and it probably would have changed minds, because you know what? When I was making those calls and I was talking to voters, they never heard that before. They didn't know. I actually played that for my students.
Did they watch the town hall though?
And they never heard of it.
And here's the thing. I don't think we can talk about percentage of voting population. Like you said, 40%, Latinos are 40% in Texas and California, without voter participation being in that conversation. Because if you're 40% of the population and you're not voting, that's the problem. So if the Latino population voted in higher numbers, and maybe they would, like, I can't wait to see the numbers in 2026, because they should be very activated.
Well, voters coming out this year will be because of what is happening. It'll be in spite of the Democratic Party. The fact that we had to bring up this morning that now, and we hated even having to bring it up in this way, but that the Latino vote right now is the opportune time for us to try and capture it and to be on our side right now, to invite us to a table that we are never invited to, that we had to even bring it up that
So-
we mattered was insanity. It was just insanity.
What
It's
is-
hurtful. It's heartbreaking and it's hurtful. And it's like you're constantly having to fight. And every group has to constantly fight. But in general, because Latinos are not legacy Democratic voters, they're not legacy voters. Many of them are new to this country. And many of them are working 2 or 3 jobs, and many of them don't speak English. And now all of the Spanish media, almost all of it, is controlled by right-wing conglomerates.
Because
And
not
we
getting
talked
it-
about that before. Democrats do not engage with the Latino
No, we
population.
made
They don't know what
zero
the fuck they're doing, and they don't even try. They wait. Like the last 2 weeks of the campaign, they panic. Oh, let's put our
Right.
regular ads into Spanish. Let's translate them, and then they get
But
an
they-
intern. to do the
they
don't-
translation.
They don't
Literally
have
2 weeks.
anything in play for anything. Like, I mean, that's part of the problem is they don't have any kind of messaging campaign, but they always historically think that people are just going to get it. And the same goes for like Latinas. They're just dismissive of them entirely because like, well, clearly they can see we're not calling them animals, so they'll vote for us. And it's the laziest politicking to me. Like, it's some of the laziest politicking I've ever seen. But
And that's
it's
what
very
leads-
representative of them as a part, like meaning they do this if you really look at them everywhere. Like, it's not surprising
That's
to
what
me.
leads to voter apathy for Latinos in Texas. When I
And everywhere,
I've,
though.
I've hit areas in South Texas that no one has spoken to at all, whether it's a residential area. I've even gone to a 300 residence trailer park, really nice residence area. No one has ever hit it before. 300 different families live in this area. No one's ever hit it, ever.
There should be no district without an opponent. There should be
Yes,
no
if I-
Republican district without a Democratic opponent. That is a crime.
The
I'm
three
sorry. I don't care about
major-
the money. I don't care about anything. That's ridiculous.
No,
Just
the
giving
three
them seats
major-
is crazy.
The 3 major South Texas Democratic strongholds, like Webb County is getting better, but Hidalgo County, they have 0 social media presence, the Democratic Party. The Hidalgo County Democratic Twitter account hasn't been active since 2018. That's my hometown. That's where I was born, McAllen, Texas. It's a huge
My
area.
grandparents are from. Lisa, we have to talk.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't mean to get on my soapbox, but that's where I was born. And so my cousins that are still there in Edinburgh, McAllen, Brownsville, it's a huge, huge area. They will call me and say, hey, anything going on in our area? And I'll be like, oh, there was a mayoral race last week. No clue. And like, I mean, Texas is fucking huge. I'm 5.5 hours from there. It's not like I can just traverse back and forth all the time to go let them know what's happening there. There's 0 outreach. There's nothing there. There's nothing. So that's where apathy comes in. They don't know anything. We're not spreading information anywhere. And if we're just going there the last few weeks before an election, that doesn't help. They don't know anything about candidates. The candidates themselves are not doing any kind of outreach.
I don't
So-
see any changes happening with respect to that either, which is the concern because, we're not going to be under the thumb of fascism forever. And at some point, the Democratic Party is going to have to earn their keep again with these people, or it's going to keep happening, right? Like Lisa said earlier, they're going to show up. Latinos are going to show up in spite of the Democratic Party this time because of everything. But we can't rely on the other side being Nazis forever. I hope not. Like, God.
My prediction is we're going to win 2026. It's going to, I don't know if you want to call it a blue wave or whatever. And then the party's going to be like, we did it. We're good. That's
I have a
exactly what's going to
question.
happen.
So
Well,
I really anticipate a tactical problem that I don't think people have thought of enough. Is that what happens when there are 2 ICE agents stationed at every Latino voting place with any kind of major percentage of Latino voters? What happens with that?
Yeah,
because
that's their tactic. We
be-
could see that. That's coming.
because you absolutely know that's going to happen. It's going to be, we're trying to protect against voter fraud, and what it's going to be is intimidation. And if you think that, I mean, look at what's happening already, and how many months away are we? And if it's, well, they're citizens, they're fine. No, they're not. They have brown skin, and that's enough to get thrown in a van and disappeared. And how much intimidation is that? And that would be just enough to swing how many districts that.
And
So
there
what's
will be nobody to prosecute those people, and there's
Exactly.
no backstop at this
So-
point. That's the
so-
scary thing.
so there needs to be some kind of plan, like honest to God, like escorts, like
No, the people chains. The people chains will work. You can make the people chains
Right.
to the cars, and we've seen it done before, and it could be done, and that's what should be happening right now.
but
That
it
should
needs
be
to
happening.
organize now.
And I
Should be
know people are
organizing that.
working in those
We've
areas.
been
The
screaming-
Democratic Party needs
They
to
should have
help.
been organizing already.
We've been
Yeah.
screaming about that the Democratic Party needs to be proactive about the
Yeah.
midterm. But I think Susan had a comment too.
Yeah, I did. I'm just curious. That little boy, he was not returned home, correct?
He's in
Not yet.
Texas.
He's in Texas, so they took him.
They're holding him with his father, is the latest I heard.
They
He's in
don't hold
ICU.
children with
That
adults.
there's a
They
art. I'll
do.
see if I can find it.
That's
They
what
do have some
we're
family.
being told. Like,
Yeah,
I don't
They do
think-
have
Listen,
family.
I don't think we can like rely on norms and policies.
that's true.
because the
That
ICE,
is-
ICE wrote an article or a post about it because I saw there was a Facebook comment section and somebody kept citing, oh, but ICE said BBC is lying, and I'm
That
like,
they
well, at
lie.
this point, you
I have it on
can't
the
trust the
screen. This is-
government.
This is CNN reporting.
The
It just-
facilities here in Texas, I will tell you right now, they separate them. They keep the
It's-
children separate from the parents.
I mean, I hate to use a child
It says
as
Texas.
a
I don't
poster
know.
child, but
Well,
my God,
it
that's
says
just-
with the father in Texas.
Right.
You can very well parse that to they're both in the same state.
Or
Yeah.
Like
or
they're at the same center,
or in the
not
same
together.
facility, but
Right.
separate holdings.
That doesn't literally mean next to each other.
Yeah, they're
And we
not.
cannot
they're
also
not
add
a
in
cozy bedroom.
Abuse
with
is
a private
rampant
bath.
at these facilities.
The kid has
Abuse
a-
is rampant.
a flippin' velveteen rabbit hat on, and you know
Right.
this image just rips at everything.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you know, I don't want
Yep.
to use a child, but my God,
People need to see what's happening, and that's part of it, is that the touch so many people because so many people have had a child just like this, and when they're this little and they know enough to know that something's not right, but they don't know enough to know what that is, and so it's just this extra layer of fear, and it's so cruel and it's unfair. And most of us went home yesterday and we cried 4 or 5 times, and then we made a bunch of videos ranting about it that we can't post on the internet, and because we didn't know what else to do. And I think that that's the common feeling of most people right now, which is why I said earlier, circling back to those Democrats, I agree with Milena. I don't think that most people did vote for this. I think that they voted for what they believe secure borders, and they wanted gang leaders gone, and they wanted, all of those things that Trump talked about, but they did not want families separated like this. They did not want this kind of terror inflicted on anybody, for that matter. Even some of the more staunch Republicans. And I think the Trump administration knows that. So I think I'm concerned about what is going to happen when we don't see anything, right? Because like Milena said, at these detention centers, like we knew when they opened Alligator Alcatraz, right? Like the awful, deplorable conditions, the way that people are being treated, and they're not giving people access. Even the people that are supposed to have access, like these representatives, remember, they're arresting people when they show up to try to look at the centers. So we're seeing this, but what the hell else are we not seeing? Is where I think that's where my mind goes every day.
Yeah,
I put
people
this comment-
die at these.
I left this comment on the screen. All the Proud Boys working at those places. Have you guys seen a lot of people have drawn the connection? Like, where are the Proud Boys right now?
They're in
the
ICE.
3%ers? They're busy. That's where they are. And I think that's a good call out because
You've never seen Peter Parker and Spider-Man in the same room together.
yes, there you go.
No,
No,
guys,
this-
let me
You
tell
know, there've been
what's going
article
on.
after article about Nazis working in, like, people with Nazi account working, being administrators in some of these facilities.
They have
And it's
Nazi
very scary.
tattoos.
And you see articles about sexual abuse. Oh, I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. You're allowed to, you see articles about, you know, physical pain, physical abuse. And it's very scary. It's very scary. And that people aren't like there at these facilities, like saying, let these people out. I mean, there are people, but the whole world should be doing this. I mean, look at this child.
I
It could
agree.
be any
It's
one of our
heart-wrenching.
kids.
The death in one of the Texas facilities was ruled a homicide. And let me tell you guys a little something about sycophant Greg Abbott, who is part of our disability community and married to a Mexican American woman. This man is a lapdog to Trump. He will do anything Trump asks him to do, to the detriment of his wife's community, of his own community. He has fought against the Americans with Disabilities Act. He has literally taped off the stairs to the ramps to the Capitol during Democratic events at the Capitol, so that no one else with disabilities can get in to use the restroom. He has done abhorrent things against Texans with disabilities. He's done abhorrent things against Hispanics in Texas, regardless of his wife or her immigrant parents. He is a horrid, horrid person. He's put razor wire in the Guadalupe River to snag and kill anyone crossing that river, which, by the way, that river gets such a bad name. It is beautiful. The landscape along that river and the mountains are gorgeous. And he has made it a death trap. That's who Greg Abbott is. He is up for re-election this year, and we have great candidates there too. John Cornyn is up for re-election. Great candidates against him. I really hope we can get these Texas GOP monsters out of office this year. We are gerrymandered to death in this state. But we have so much momentum here, again, despite the Democratic machine. That's all.
Oh, yeah. Just talking in here.
Cheers.
Somebody brought up the word misogyny, and I think
They hate themselves.
that it's a huge factor in some of the stuff we're seeing. It's like that strong man attachment, you know, and yeah.
Can I bring up something that we talked a little bit about last week? And I want to give Casey props because I saw her awesome TikTok where she started talking about it. And that is, what can we do? And one of the things that we talked about and that Casey did this great TikTok on was talking to your clergy members, showing them these videos and asking them to talk about it during their sermons. Getting involved in immigrant organizations, talking to your neighbors and your friends, sharing videos like this on every platform. Some people, they refuse to talk about politics on Instagram or Facebook. That they're keeping it separate. The time for that is over. The time for playing it safe is over. We need to be courageous and we need to take a stand, take a moral stand,
I like that.
people's lives are at stake. And so I was on the other day when I was raging yesterday, when I was at CVS, I was like on my way to CVS, and I was so mad about the 6-year-old child that was abandoned on the street by ICE, who took the father. The father begged for them to let him call his wife to come pick up their kid. And he left a 6-year-old girl, the ICE agents left a 6-year-old little girl wandering on the streets. I was like raging in my car. So when I got out at CVS, I saw like this old white guy, and I started, "Did you hear this story?" And he's like, "Oh, who is this lady?" And you know what he said to me? He's like, "Oh, I don't believe it." And I said, "Look it up." And then I was in line at the pharmacy part, and I told everyone in line. I was like a nut job because I was just so mad at the time. You don't have to be like that, but talk about it. And the people who I were talking to in line, they were like, "Oh my God, this is crazy."
And make the point that at this stage, not talking about politics is talking about politics.
Oh, I like that.
And,
if everyone did just a little bit, if everybody just had one conversation, we wouldn't be here. That's the thing, is it doesn't take a lot. It takes, it feels like a lot for us because we're doing a lot more work, because everybody else is going on with their lives and just kind of acknowledging to themselves privately that they hate it and not maybe necessarily sharing with somebody. So like, I talk about it with strangers. Let me tell you, like I if you've watched any of my videos, I'm like Melina, I will just unload on random people. They'll be like, "Hey, how's your day going?" It's awful because Trump did this today. And like, I tell them, and I think that if everybody did that with the people that they care about, right? Like where they saw something and if you're genuinely impacted by something, like which most people were, they saw this boy and they said, I am so upset about this. That needs to be taken home. And I think if you're from certain places, culturally, politics is not discussed. Like in the South, the idea of you bringing up politics is like a downer, right? And like, especially with some of the generations, like some of the older boomers, that's just not done. But guess what? We have to shift that. That's on you to shift. Like that's our responsibility to say, I can't not talk about this. I've gone to too much fucking therapy. Like, right? My generation knows, like we know better. So we go and we share these things and we say, hey, this doesn't have to happen. Call your people, call your members of Congress, or tell your pastor. What's your pastor saying? Like what Melina said, not just pastors, any community leaders, right? Like anybody that's getting up in front of someone that has a platform to share. If everybody just universally said, I'm not going to deal with it, I don't want this, and they called their members of Congress and said, I absolutely am not voting for someone that does not stop funding this, that does not stop, like, because that's one thing Congress can do, is they cannot pay for this. They can say, we're not going to pay for this terrorism. I don't want to do it. And if everybody just was honest and shared a little bit, then all this propaganda that the Republicans keep dropping into Facebook forums isn't going to keep growing. It's going to die, because the more people that are invested in what's happening, the less they can hide with their lies and their stories and whatever right-wing media that they have, which is like a lot of it. But grassroots, we know, is impactful and we know it's effective, but people have to do it. So I just don't know how to turn away from this.
Don't forget your local officials either.
Yes. Oh, yes. The state and local people too. Yes. And we have a call to action slide. I could have put that up. Sorry. I guess we were going to do that at the end, but like.
Yeah. I mean, so do we want to continue talking about ICE or circle back with the CTA? I mean,
I think we can do that.
Wait, what's Susan's question?
Yeah.
Susan?
I live in a neighborhood where there's a Hispanic family down at the corner, and the neighbors want to call ICE on them. That's where I live. And it's very disturbing to me because the kids love my dog. And I don't know, what do I do at this point? My neighbors, I'm intimidated by. I'm not going to stand up and say, don't do that. I don't know.
Warn your neighbors.
Can you show them some of these? Can you show them some of these videos? Like, did you see this? And like, what do you think about this? Like, look at them getting US citizens. Like, look at what they're doing. What do you think about this? And then say, what if they did it to your child? What if they took
They're not
your
gonna
little
fall.
boy?
No,
They're what?
no.
That kid probably has fentanyl in his hat.
Wait, are
What?
they
Yeah.
citizens, Susan? They're
What did you
just
say?
Hispanic?
Unfortunately, yes. But, I live out in the country, so this is what you're going to find.
Well, and
Oh, she's talking about her Republican neighbors now.
No,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
I mean your Hispanic neighbors. Are they citizens?
Right.
Yeah, they are.
I don't know.
Oh,
There's like
both.
2
Okay.
males in the house.
Okay.
And
Can you
Two
talk to
females.
Can you talk to them? Can
Yeah.
you reach out to
yes.
them? I went.
Can
I
you
went
warn
to-
them that they have this evil down the road? At least just warn them that.
really? Okay.
Yeah,
Yes.
I mean, I went to
Absolutely.
all the Hispanic neighbors in my community, and we're all on a WhatsApp now. Like,
Yeah.
we don't,
Okay.
Yeah,
We're
they
like on
need to be
WhatsApp,
warned.
and I
Great
bought-
advice.
I bought whistles.
I will do that.
Neighborhood groups like that are really a great way to do it. But also, I want to encourage everybody, just because I think Susan's story is not unique. I think that that's happening everywhere. And so, a couple of things. Number one, you're not going to convert somebody, more than likely, you're not going to convert somebody in a conversation. It's not going to happen the one time. Like, you're not going to show them this picture of this little boy and suddenly they're going to be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I was ever a Republican. That's not going to happen. And I know you know that, but I want to remind you that so that you take that to heart and keep that with you so that you know, number one, it's not your responsibility, right? They are going to make that choice for themselves. All you're doing is sharing your feelings about it and your information that you have, right? As a friend, as a neighbor, as whatever. And like the conversion, right? It's just like with any kind of faith. If it's true faith that you have, they're going to find it on their own. You're just giving them like the steps to get to the end, right? And you're not going to convert everybody either. So that's the other thing. But what I like to think about when I'm talking to people is that it doesn't allow them to hide, right? Like they can't hide from it that way.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna if you're gonna believe in this Nazi shit, then you're gonna be faced with it every fucking day for me. Like you're gonna eat it, you're gonna live with it, you're gonna see it. I'm not gonna let you escape it, right? Maybe that's antagonistic. I don't know. I'm gonna be nice about it. I'm gonna be real nice and smile when I show you this horrific stuff and be like, oh my, I'm like really upset about it. Like whatever it is for you and your dynamic. Like some people really respond when you're honest and you're crying, and that's the relationship you have, and that's authentic and genuine. You should be authentic and genuine to who you are and how you would be with them, and that's the honesty. That's the part that's going to sell this, because that's the truth. And that's where the Democrats, by the way, to circle this back, if there's any Democratic candidates listening, that this is where y'all need to take note. Because if you're just being a real person and being honest, like whatever that is, it's going to shine through and people are going to believe you if it's not a script that you're reading. That's different.
You know
Yeah.
what
I'm
I
gonna
told
get
some of my friends on Facebook who were like ultra MAGA, and they were like getting mad that I was sharing some of this stuff. This was a while back. I said, look, in my case, this works, but my families were killed in the Holocaust. So I am not going to let anybody be the good German who doesn't see it. I want everybody to know so that no one can deny that they didn't know it was happening.
Yeah.
So you could just say, like, I don't know if you know this is happening. I don't know if you've thought this through, but if someone is taken, they lose every single thing that they have. And when they go into detention, they're getting all of their shit stolen, like their wedding rings and their passports and their chains, everything that they've got. They lose everything. And do you think that that's right? It's like almost like theft. Do you think stealing is right? Do you think murder is right? Do you think that, violence against people is right? Because a lot of these people are getting the heck beat out of them just for living here.
You know what?
Crazy.
I say that I get a T-shirt with that kid's hat on it. Just that blue hat.
I love that.
I honestly, that's so impactful. And I think at the end of the day that you know more than anybody what the dynamic is between you and friends and other people, but your responsibility is that you've shared it in an authentic way. You've given them the information and you've told them how you feel about it. And at the end of the day, they have to be the ones that make that decision. But if everybody were doing that, then we really wouldn't be here. Like I'm being like, it's not just the government teacher. Like, it's like, that's the truth. If everybody kind of stepped up and shared what's happening, we wouldn't be in this place where people can be propagandized in Facebook.
As long as you're physically safe. As long as you're physically safe.
Of course.
I do want to say something though. First and foremost, if you are friends with your Hispanic neighbors, warn them, please.
Yes.
Melina has a lot of resources, more so than I have at her fingertips. She can send you to please distribute information to them to give them their rights. In the event your MAGA neighbors do call ICE on them so that they know their rights, that they know what to do. In the event ICE does show up at their door, it is imperative that they are warned at what might be coming their way. They absolutely need to be prepared, because
and don't be afraid either. Like, just to like, because I, as somebody who is not like, I'm not in that community, but I interface with people obviously all the time. I live in a diverse area, right? And initially I was a little like afraid that I might be stepping on someone's toes or like offending them, because I'm just like, here, have some resources. But actually everybody was so kind and so grateful. I was like, I just went to my coffee shop and I was like I knew the person spoke Spanish. And I was like, here I have, this was at the very beginning when we were giving out the laminated cards, like of what to do and what to say. And I was like, here, I don't know if you know anybody that can use these, but I have them. I have them take them. And I was really concerned that I was going to like offend somebody, honestly. And everybody was so grateful. So just truly, if you're doing it in the spirit of being a good neighbor and trying to help, like, nobody's going to be mad at you. Nobody's going to be offended by it. Like, you're not breaking the law by giving people their rights. Like that, like, you're doing the right thing.
That.
Next week I'll have like a list of certain things that you could do. Like, there's also like a document that you could sign where this way your member of Congress can go and get information about you. So things like that, having a list of all of your emergency contacts and your lawyer and everything like that. These are things that everybody that are at risk.
We'll do a call to action next week with that as the focus point, and we'll go through each one next week and have that ready for people, so that way we can have a shareable document, but we'll also go through it in the live. I think that's a great idea, Melina. If not to put too much on you, but like whatever you have that we can use, that'd be great.
Awesome.
So I think
has everybody seen the video? It's about a week old now. That is from somebody's cell phone. It's in Minneapolis. It's in the dark, and it is a neighborhood, and the neighborhood coming like all together and yelling and whistles and, you know, ICE is here, lock your doors.
Yes.
And
I posted
one
that.
gentleman at the very end just yells, "They're here." And it's, if you've seen it, you know. If you haven't, it is so poignant. It is like, it is watching what Nazi Germany would have been, you know. And that really made me think, we're not going far enough. We need to think in Anne Frank terms. We need to think not only in terms of like going down and warning your neighbor. We need to think about, there needs to be a place in your house as a white person to hide people. Like, we're at that stage. We're at the stage where we're at the stage where we need to be thinking like Underground Railroad type things. We need to be thinking Anne Frank type things, because if we don't right now, it's going to overtake us and we're not going to be prepared for it. And things are moving so incredibly rapidly that we are always on our back foot. And
their budget is like going up by like 20-fold or something crazy like that. It's scary.
I mean, I might sound like tinfoil hat right now, but you know, if I had told everyone a year ago what was happening right now, I would have sounded tinfoil hat.
So listen to this.
Well,
On Chris's point, listen to this video.
There you go. Stay inside. They're here. gonna let the puppy out.
That's
You
just
know,
bone-chilling.
by my front door, I have a chain that I wear on my neck, and it's got a whistle, and it's got mace, and and there's a baseball bat by my front door. I mean, we're getting to the point where no one's really safe, but these
No.
people are really not safe.
I want to share this video with everyone. This actually, really choked me up.
Yeah.
This kid is 15 years old, and this was his worst fear, them coming for his father.
Nos están siguiendo. No quiero que se lo lleven, padre. We didn't know what was happening. They were still chasing us, and that's when they started hitting our car, trying to flip us.
As Arnoldo continues to film, agents appear to ram into the Bazan's car at least 4 times.
DHS doesn't just deny their allegations. They actually say that Arnolfo, the father, struck their agents with his vehicle.
Okay.
That's DHS's official story. When we told them that we had video showing that not only was it actually the reverse, that their agents struck him 4 times, that was sort of the point in which our conversations with DHS broke down and we could no longer get answers from them.
When was the first time that you tried to tell them, I'm a citizen?
When I was on the ground, and I was in the headlock, and then he told me, you're done. I was like, I'm underage, I'm a U.S. citizen. He choked me more, so I guess I couldn't speak.
What kinds of things did you hear them say to you and your father?
A bunch of racist stuff. Like, they were calling us criminals, that we didn't deserve to live in the U.S. Beaner, border hopper, illegal, like son of an alien and all that stuff, a dumbass, all that stuff.
He and his father are held in a car. They're detained,
can't hear
handcuffed
the
in a car
video.
for several hours, and eventually they confirm the boy is a U.S. citizen. They drop him home. When he reaches home, his clothes are completely torn apart. He has scarring and bruises all over his upper body, and his sisters are in shock. You can see there, they bring him to a hospital, the Texas Children's Hospital. He's immediately rushed into a trauma unit. A nurse there calls the police and actually initiates a report to say that this minor, this 10th grader, has been choked, has been beaten.
So I want to hear everybody's feedback on that, but that really got to me. And there's so many things. They beat this kid. They didn't care if he was a U.S. citizen, and he ended up in the hospital. His father was deported, and then his cell phone's missing, and it ends up at a pawn shop for sale. And so if this to me, this goes to the corruption of DHS and ICE. There are other stories about this. I posted this last night, and someone replied that they actually saw ICE going through a family's newly bought groceries and took them for themselves. I mean, these are the kind of things that are going on. And the posts, posting this stuff, showing the videos, I don't think this stuff can be seen enough, because this is bringing humanity to the situation. I think articles are great, and they're really important because it's fact finding. But we have to balance the lies we're hearing out of DHS. Like, DHS you heard on this video, they're actually saying, oh, the father rammed our ICE vehicles. No, actually, there's a video. There's a videotape.
Actually,
if there wasn't a videotape, we'd be screwed.
This is the hardest part that we're going to have to convey all of this. It isn't the racism, which is what I originally thought it was going to be, right? Because they don't see people as human, and that's such an issue. And there's all these feelings about who was here first and who's entitled to the land, which is like normally where I go is I'm like, this is all stolen land anyway. I don't know why you think that you belong here and they don't, but okay. Like, right. Like we get trapped in that. What people aren't talking about enough is this is your government lying to you. And people don't want to believe that. They have a really hard time. Yeah. Even my mom, like, remember I told y'all when she was visiting right when he was getting inaugurated, and she was like, but why would he do that? Like, she could not fathom the idea that these villains exist and that they are grifting the American people, that they are giving money to their billionaire besties, and they are doing all of this. And it's happening, and people are like, well, surely these videos have to be fake. This can't be real.
No, but it is racism, though. It's
100%. But I just mean like
they're trying.
It's 100% racism.
Wait, hold on. It is like these videos are super hard for us to watch. I have a Tio Nofo, and these are fucking hard.
These are hard to watch because these are the children I taught. These are the children I taught. These are babies. They are not adults.
Okay, wait, hold on a second. These are our people. These are our family members. I mean, we just got married a week and a half ago, and we could not put anything out on social media. We could not tell anyone. We couldn't tell anyone out of fear that someone would show up. Like, I didn't let any of my family know in South Texas because I was fucking afraid that some of them would show up and then some of them would get taken. This is out and out ethnic cleansing, and they're trying to wipe us out, and they have such a fucking perfect excuse right now because nobody's doing anything. Nobody is doing anything. The Republicans are not doing shit. And so they should all have Trump as an albatross on their necks for this year on every single Republican election. The Democrats are voting, not all of them, but some of them are, because leadership is not reining them in. They're not whipping their votes. And we should hold them accountable for all of this because no one is speaking up loud except us, except grassroots, except citizens. And so if we do have this blue wave this year, it's in spite of them. It's because of us. If we do have this blue wave, we should still hold them to account. We should not let them rest on their laurels thinking they won this. No, motherfuckers, we won this. We won this in spite of you. These videos, you didn't do anything. We're doing it.
Let me add to that, because when we criticize our representatives, our senators, there is a tendency, I think we all get it in our replies, like, oh, you shouldn't, criticize Democrats. Like, Democrats shouldn't criticize Democrats. Why not? Why not? Like, we're in primaries. Like, this is the time.
The Republicans totally do it to other Republicans. We have every right to push these other candidates.
On a live telling you all to go talk to your neighbors. Why aren't they talking to their neighbors across the aisle? Why aren't they talking to their Democratic friends that are doing this, right? If we're going to hold people to the account, like you and me, to go talk to people that don't agree with us and say, hey, look at what's happening to these children. Like, look what's happening. Look at this brutality, this terrorism. If we're telling other people to do that, why wouldn't we expect the same from our Democratic representatives to go talk to other Democratic representatives and be like, get in line. This is fascism. Like, this has to stop. It's not gonna just go away. And that's what I was trying to say before, is that, like, the challenge and the hurdle that we have is to make people believe that these images are real, because people are seeing them and they're having the same visceral reactions. They're crying. We're all crying. But the problem is that they're telling themselves it's not real. And that's the separation. That's where the cognitive dissonance is. Not everyone. Some people are fine with it. There's still terrible people out there. Like, not everyone, but like there are.
If you're fine with this, you are a terrible person. Like, period. Like, there is no nuance.
I have an idea. the idea is, I mean, it would take a lot of coordination to do this, but my idea is, what if Americans across the country use those projectors that a lot of people have? Not everybody has them, but the people who do have them, to project these videos, not all the same, all different videos, because there are hundreds and hundreds of these videos on the same night, and do press releases about it. I mean, what if we all did a big action like that? That it doesn't take a lot of money.
Perfect. And but this is where, and I'm not saying we are going to have to do it without them. Like, I know that. Like, I want everybody to understand. I'm not just sitting on my ass going, I guess we just lose. Like, obviously we're all working and we're all trying. But I'm saying it would be so much more effective if the Democratic Party were behind some of this, right? Like, if they were working to help direct some of this, because showing those videos, there is nothing about that's illegal. That's actually patriotic as fuck, right? Like, that's calling for law and order, right? That's supporting all of the things that this Constitution and this land is about. So why wouldn't we see a leader coming up with something innovative like that, trying to get us all? That would renew hope for a lot of people, and people that feel left behind and disenfranchised would feel good. We could finally unify behind something. Why is there no voice doing that? That's my frustration. We should be able to ask that. We need to be, if not now, when?
Yeah, it's it's crazy.
Y'all, this is hard. As a civics and government teacher, it's difficult because we saw this coming, but it's also like seeing everybody, like, I just want to bring everybody together and have like a group hug and just I don't really want to touch people, but like, like bring everybody together. This is the autism, right? I want to bring everybody else together and like comfort everybody, because I know it's hard and I know it's difficult to do some of these things, but these are children. Like, I'm taught this level of student and they are not adults. They're not even, there's a reason that consent happens at 18, right? Like, and even then I would say my 18-year-olds were like baby. They're not like your neighbor that's an adult that's, I don't know, driving around the neighborhood, and these are
their kids,
babies.
15 years old is just a kid.
Yeah.
I mean, I also taught high school.
To be, yeah,
they're sweet.
Somebody
not
has
all
to
of
be
them,
the
but
person
they're
to
sweet. They're innocent. They're just children. They're just
they look
kids.
older, and that's the problem. Is they hit the growth spurts, and then they look older. And what's I forget the word. What is it when you're like taking somebody that's young and you're trying to make them older? There's a lot with Black youth.
They do it with black boys and girls all the time.
Yes, like where you try to make them older than they are. What is it?
Because they'll say man instead of, or woman instead of
what is
child.
the word for that? I'm sorry.
That they're precocious? Is that what you're going for?
No. There's a word.
I don't remember.
The media,
but honestly, it's always in the Black community. They always see
100%, and it's the opposite of infantilizing. It's the opposite of infantilizing.
Yeah.
So,
Adultalizing.
Anyway, you look at them and you think, oh, this is an adult with adult feelings who can handle adult things, and it's so not true, and that's the problem. And I think for me, watching this and seeing this again, I mean, I'm in it every single day, and I was just talking to my therapist about this today. She's like, there's really nothing to say, because it's not like you can just look away. And that was like, she's like, it's not a question of me saying, oh, we'll just find balance, because how do you find balance when you see something like that? You don't.
There's a really good question from ECBST, I think. And it's about, what do you do when you're in a community and you don't know what to do and where to go and how to get involved? Well, fortunately, we live in a time, unlike any time in the past, where we can look these things up. And the first place I would start is with your Indivisible group, because that's a really great way to meet people who are very passionate, and a lot of people who are like ready to like do the rough and tough and like awesome stuff. Like they're ready to go hang signs on a bridge. They're ready to go do like great big projections on huge buildings. They're ready to do stuff like that. Okay. And then the next place I would go is with the immigrant organizations, because there is so much need right now. Doing things like driving people's kids to school, or taking groceries to people, or making sure that they have a plan, that your community members have a plan. But immigrant organizations, there are so many out there, and there are so many very good ones, and there are also some scam ones. So you got to be careful and look it up and read some reviews. But that's a really great way to level it up, and a great way to meet wonderful new friends. And I was able to meet, what I did during the Prop 50 campaign was I canvassed for the Democratic Party in my own neighborhood. So I found out where all the Democratic houses are. Primaries are coming up throughout this country. So doing that in your own neighborhood, canvassing in your own neighborhood, you'll sign up on mobilize.us. You can find events throughout the entire country from all the Democratic events on mobilize.us. And if you get involved with a canvas, sometimes they'll try to assign you to whatever, some strange precinct that has nothing to do with where your family lives. But if you ask them, nope, I want to get a precinct by my house, then you can find out where are all your allies in your neighborhood. And that's another thing that I did. And they're all on my WhatsApp chain too. And they all got whistles, or some of them still haven't gotten theirs, but I brought whistles by because I want them to know that I expect them to be an ally for our immigrant community. So
I
That's
like
awesome.
this. I like
Yeah,
this.
and what
Hey,
Melinda,
I want to say thank you all for the advice. I have to hop.
Night, Susan.
Great,
Thank you for
great
Susan.
call.
popping in.
Good night,
Thank you,
Susan.
Chris. Thank you,
Love you.
Marina. Thank you, Casey.
Take
Bye,
care.
guys.
love you,
She's doing
Susan.
some of the best work.
Good night,
too.
Susan.
Yeah, I wanted to add on to what Melina was saying. Sorry to have gotten on my soapbox earlier.
Oh, we like it. Bring it every time, Lisa. We need it.
You know, that Mexican Spanish passion I have. But yeah, what Melina was saying on Mobilize, there are so many opportunities to get out there, to canvas, to meet your neighbors. Almost always you're going to be given lists for friendlies. So you'll get to meet your community, your Democratic neighbors, not just for immigrant causes, but canvassing for your candidates in your areas, for events, rallies, for all kinds of fun stuff in your various communities. I'm a field gal. That's where I do best. And it is not as scary as a lot of people might think it is. I love meeting people where they're at, talking to them, answering their questions. And it's more important than ever to get your community to register to vote and to follow up on that. Make sure that they then know where their polling locations are, where to vote, just, giving them all the information they need on all of that. Here in Texas, we had another thing happen. I don't even know what today is. Thursday. Okay, yesterday.
When you do these canvases, or when you go canvassing, it tells you who the Democrats in the House are. So sometimes you'll go to a house and there's only one Democrat and they're 24 years old and they're a kid. And if you feel like unsafe going there, just skip that house.
Always take it. But what we do here, which I think is critically important, is the buddy system. Always take someone with you. I think that's just good common sense and safe. Also research all your candidates in your area, and then go from there. Now, here in Texas, I'm sure most everyone heard of the horrible Uvalde massacre a few years back. Just yesterday, one of the
acquittal.
Yeah, Adrian Gonzalez, one of the police officers, was acquitted of charges that he failed to confront the gunman at Robb Elementary School. Go figure, 370 law enforcement officers, 77 minutes, 21 people, 21 souls gone.
Law enforcement has no obligation to protect or serve.
Which is ridiculous. And by the way, all of those that huge stack of paperwork that you have to sign as a parent for public schools at the beginning of a school year, I know too much about this. Worthless. Schools are protected by sovereign immunity. I have been through a federal lawsuit in the great state of Texas about this. We won. Very high bar in the state of Texas, but Greg Abbott. Anyway, yeah.
I think you made a great point earlier about getting involved in terms of canvassing or phone banking or anything that many times, more often than not, you're talking to friendlies.
You are.
And that if you're trying to recruit people to do that, to just really reiterate that to them, that if you have any apprehension about it, that more often than not, you're speaking to people that are more on your side than not. And it's very unlikely to be confrontational.
Exactly. And when you have
it's
small
empowering.
Right. And when you have small communities like Uvalde, which is just like an hour from me, that's even more empowering, where you can get out and meet these families and let them know how important their causes are to us, how important gun safety is, and all the other issues, of course, that are affecting not just Texans, but Americans at large. So yeah, try to get involved, go to Mobilize, see all the different events that are out there for you to get involved in, and get involved. It's more important than ever. Do what you can. If you're not a field person, there's phone banking, there's postcarding, there's a lot of postcarding events, there's letter writing events, or just call your members of Congress. I usually have that number right at the ready. I'm sure somebody has it by memory. It's what is it?
202-241-3121. I'll take it in.
Yeah, call them daily. It's just as important to call your MAGA representatives because every call is recorded. Every single call is recorded. So they need to know, because every Republican candidate on the ballot this year, it's Trump. Trump is an albatross on all of their necks. They're all complicit. No one has spoken out to protect us, to defend us. None of them have. So Trump is on every Republican ballot this year. So make sure you voice your concerns to your Republican senators and representatives. It's just as important as making sure your Democratic representatives and senators know your concerns. So please make those calls. Okay, I'm off my soapbox. Thank you.
I think there's a graphic.
Look at these numbers. Someone posted the Economist numbers, which show Trump is underwater in all of these states, red states. And so this is the biggest opportunity for Democrats to come in and actually do some organizing, to actually find some candidates that can run in these states. These disapproval numbers are not wins, but it's huge.
It's huge.
It's huge. And so this.
And if you look at our margins of wins for special elections in 2025, they were what year are we in, guys? 2025. They were ginormous. Yeah. We made huge swings, huge gains.
Virginia was a really good test case.
Yeah. Okay. Casey, are you there? So
I'm here. Let's
talk about Trump a little bit here. His health. Well, first of all, his jaundice skin. Casey pointed this out earlier. I think that's makeup, though, because it doesn't match his hands.
messages to some of my friends that are into makeup and stuff, because I know that when you get this kind of yellow hue, like it's oftentimes because you're mixing other colors together. And I'm wondering what kind of color corrector he has under there. I know, I'm serious. I think that they're color correcting and trying to change, you know, whether it's bruising or like something underneath that. And then that's creating this kind of like weird pallor that he has. Also, he probably might be a little jaundiced, but if you can see the whites of his eyes, then it's not that serious, unfortunately. So anyway, there's that. But I'm waiting to hear back from them. I am curious because there's something has gone amiss here. Like, you know,
Well,
really.
And the other thing is, this is the other hand, right? This is the hand, like the hand that we first saw with the bruising was his right hand. This is his left hand.
Yeah.
I did hear that sometimes there are some medications for dementia that are given through an infusion, like intravenous type of infusions. So there's a lot of speculation.
And they go, we talked about this. It's like usually every 2 weeks or once a month. And that would explain why we're seeing this kind of like, sometimes he's just absolutely like the presser. Was it yesterday? What is time? Yesterday was the long, crazy one. Okay. So, well, I mean, every day is, but like yesterday was especially bad. And he was so cognitively like all over the place. And then I really think that he gets this go-go juice. Like they basically embalm the man and like keep him going in front of everybody, and then it deteriorates, like, and then they just have to keep doing it. But you know what's interesting about those dementia medications? I did a quick search. I am not a doctor and I'm not in the medical industry, but I do have chronic illness, so like I've had my fair share of stuff, and it looks to me like most of them have an end date. They have like a, you know, maximum time that you can be on them. So like 16, 18 months, like max. And then I don't know if they go on to a different medication or if that's just when the dementia gets worse or whatever it is. But anyway, with most of these treatments, it's not permanent. So he's not going to make it through the 4 years is what I'm saying. Like it's just they're biding their time at this point, I think. He doesn't look good. And the idea that they're trying to spin us that he accidentally just like he knocked his hand on a table. That's the story they're going
more importantly was Carolyn Levitt is a world-class contortionist.
Ugh.
In trying to explain, no, he really meant Iceland, not Greenland. That how is that not evidence right there of his cognitive decline? And also, Casey, I will point out that I have seen you play a medical doctor on TikTok. So
that's true. I have. You know what? I also I just really hope, and I think we all agree, I can speak for all of us here, but I just hope we're all alive when we find out what the fuck they have on KK Carolyn Levitt and all of these people that they are so willing to lie in. Like, it's so bad at this point. Like, it's not even just, you know, it's like we saw it with the Bush administration and we saw Cheney do it. And we saw all of them do it, but that was at least somewhat passable and believable. This stuff is like, this is ridiculous. This is just out of some sort of sitcom. And I want to know what they have. I want to know Lindsey Graham. I know it's something. I want to see the videos. I want to see the evidence. I want to see all of that before I die. I need to know that. It's like, it seems really secondary at this point, but I have to believe that there's something like that, because you cannot convince me that people are all this evil and stupid at the same time. I just can't.
No, Occam's razor says that they are that evil and stupid.
Did you guys see him when he was giving his remarks yesterday? He's holding onto this podium for dear life for like the longest time. It's almost like it's a walker or something. And then, you know, he has that sort of stance that they link to dementia, and like
the lean over.
This is not, he doesn't normally stand like this at a podium, and he was like this for quite a while.
Yeah. Somebody said 6 months, but I feel like we keep hearing that. But they were like, no, really,
I don't give a time. I think we always have to factor into the fact that this is the president of the United States with a circle that has a huge interest in keeping him breathing, and he has the best healthcare money can buy. They're going to keep him alive until, you know, he's blue.
If we see
thoughts on
If
this.
we
that
see
I-
Jonathan Silverman come into the administration, we know that we're in trouble.
I want to know what y'all think about this. Okay, so I have a couple of thoughts on this. Now, we heard after COVID that he had actually there'd been CPR administered, like, or that, you know, like it was really dire, right? And of course, none of that was told to us. And from what I understand, there was never any transfer of power. So we had a president that was like literally dead or totally unconscious and incapacitated, and no one took over. Like there was no transfer of power from the VP to the president, which, by the way, is, or vice versa, is very concerning to me. Like we should all be concerned about that. And I think this administration has no intentions of being transparent about that. And because we saw it with that, and now things are like obviously even more dire for them in terms of their agenda and trying to get all their policies done, I feel like they're floating this idea where they kind of take him away from us for a while, and they're trying to see how long they can keep him out of the public eye before people are like, wait, he's dead. Like, remember that weekend that we all got together and we're so excited because he was maybe dead, and we all as a collective on the internet, like, we're like, when's the last photo of him? Like, where, like, because his schedule had been cleared and all the things, right? I'm serious about this. I really think that this administration,
I remember.
I think this administration is intentionally trying to see, like, they'll put him out for something like this and he does something crazy and then he sort of disappears for a little bit, and they try to see how long they can go without us being like, where's the president? And that we get used to that idea. I think he comes out and does some of these real flagrant things so that we all saw him, and then he goes away, and they're going to do that more and more and then keep the gaps broader and bigger so that they can, I don't know what they're doing in their evil lairs, but it's something.
I just hope that the media, when he does finally go, doesn't make like a whole respectful day out of it. I mean, it should not. No deference whatsoever. I mean, he's the worst thing that's ever happened to this country. I know so many families that the people don't talk to each other. We barely talk to some of our in-laws. Like, I haven't spoken to some of my husband's family members since COVID, because they kind of disinvited us during COVID because I had the gall to ask for a test. And there's so many families like that. There's so many people in therapy because of this man. There's so many people that they love this man more than their family members, more than their kids.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
We can hear you.
I can't hear.
You're gonna probably have to jump out again.
Yeah, you'll probably have to come back. Does anybody have theories on this flight where it returned? Trump's Air Force One returns to Maryland.
I think something happened in the bathroom and they had a biohazard and they had to come back. I'm not being facetious about that. I'm being serious. Like,
but how come? I heard they were on separate planes. Like, after that, he was on a new Air Force One, the smaller one, and then the what were they? The journalists were on a different flight.
Yeah. That's what I think. I think they can't. He's getting to the point where people can't be around him without it being so obvious that he is incapable of leading this country, that I think that they are now having to separate, like, and they can't be on the same plane, like, for that reason, because they can't hide it. I think that's what it is. I'm serious.
Yeah,
I'm not being
I'll buy
facetious.
that. I think that makes sense.
I really think that we're at the point in this now, again, and I stress this, it's crazy to me that we've gotten this far in a year. And I really, I knew it was going to be bad, but we knew, and I thought he'd kind of be dead by now, to be honest. But there was another part of me that's like, yeah, I mean, he's going to get all this great healthcare. That's fine. What I didn't anticipate was how clearly ill he is, and how there's not anybody stepping in to talk about that, especially when we're talking about on a cognitive level. And and Chris was really great. Chris went and looked this up for me, by the way. Thank you, Chris. Because I was like, I feel in my mind, which now I can't trust because the fascism has ruined me and my brain for time and things. But I feel like we have seen we've seen transfer of power, like, for procedures, right? Like, so, like, and I thought Biden had done it. And so Chris went and looked it up. and he found all this information of like people that had colonoscopies, like Bush had 2 colonoscopies. I was kind of like, did Obama ever get his colonoscopy? Because it doesn't look like he ever transferred power, and I am a little concerned about that. Somebody check on him. But everybody did that in the modern era, right? Like that colonoscopies were a thing and like whatever, right? And Reagan, of course, during his surgery after he'd been shot. So there's this long litany, and then with Trump, nothing. Like not and like with COVID, he was hospitalized for days. Like we know that he was unconscious. Like we know that he like in the minimum, and none of and they didn't ever once do it. I don't think they have any intention of ever doing it. So in terms of the 25th Amendment, which is like one of the things we were going to talk about here, like I agree with Chris, who we were talking about this, that it's not the Democrats' job to invoke the 25th Amendment. All right, that's a Republican thing because they're in power. However,
it starts with the vice president.
Right. However, I do think it's fair for us to be talking about the fact that seems like an administration that is unwilling to do that when it's necessary, because obviously there have been times already, and notwithstanding cognitive issues, just like, I mean, illness or procedures or whatever that he's had to have done, and he's incapacitated, and yet he's still the president. That should be concerning to everybody, no matter what party you're with.
By the way, did you guys hear him talk about being a dictator in this speech?
Yes.
I mean, that was insane. And the press isn't really making that big a deal out of the fact that he's like, oh yeah, dictators, yeah, sometimes you just need a dictator.
I can't upload media on here because I moved over to my iPad, sorry. But there's a clip that's like, sometimes you need a dictator. Like, no, you don't. Like, what do you mean? And you're right. Like, it's not so much that he says it, because we know he's just absolutely off the deep end, like, and a bad person to boot. But where is all the outrage? Like, are they just so numb to it now? They're like, oh yeah, like, well, he just said this crazy thing today. Because like, I'm not numb to it yet. Like, I keep seeing them, and I'm like, what do you mean? Sometimes you need a dictator? No, that's not right. Like.
Yeah, nobody should be numb to that. I mean, he's proving it day in and day out. Nobody should be thinking, oh, this is just a joke. He's just being, ditzy, haha. No, we're seeing it on videos worldwide.
I am so embarrassed. Like, just as a side, like, I know this is not helpful to anybody, and we try to be helpful when we come here and try to have like good discourse. But I just want to say, like, I am so embarrassed. Like, on a regular basis. I know it's harder for me as a government teacher and somebody that studied political science. Like, I know that, like, probably that's difficult, but I know everybody else is feeling it too. Like, that we're all just embarrassed that this office, which, by the way, like, you should also know that I don't necessarily have the best view of our nation, okay? And I did a whole video on this, and I actually need to send it to Chris to make sure it's okay for me to post, because there's a lot of, like, white guilt running around in it. But it's like, it's me talking about how, like, everybody's kind of got to grieve the America that never existed, because we were all taught that we were this, like, great nation, this city on a hill, and this, like, all this amazing stuff. But in reality, when you learn the real history behind it, right? Like, when you learn the actual history, you don't have that kind of love affair anymore. Like, so, right, I'm like, I've not been proud of this country in a long time, but I have been proud of the people in it. And I think that that's an important, like, distinction to make. But even, like, notwithstanding all of that, I feel like this office of presidency, it's like it's the highest thing you can get in this, like, it's like, if there's the highest Olympic medal times 10 or whatever, like, very few people have had, like, what, 60, how many presidents had? No, why did I say 60?
47.
47, 40, no, 44.
44? Oh yeah, 44.
44. Yeah, 44. So we've had 44 people in the history of this nation standing in podiums like that as a president, and we let this jackass up there, like, every single day, I can't get over that. Twice, like, not just once, twice. Like, notwithstanding the horrors and all the whatever, because I'm like, yeah, people are terrible. Our country's terrible. We have a terrible history of doing bad things to people, especially when they're black and brown. That's our tradition. But I'm like, dear God, like, even, like, for the villainous white man, this is the best
actually quite terrifying The things that he's saying about the world is absolutely terrifying. Anyone who actually just takes a break, pretends like it's 2015 and all the shit hasn't happened that has happened, and you think about that and you go, what in God's name? This, what he's saying about world leaders, what he's saying about Greenland and we've got to have it, what he's saying about being a dictator, what he's saying about the Democrats being the enemy from within, what we're seeing with Republicans who are actually trying to pass a law that says that, yes, you can deport non-citizens. This is insanity. And it's very dangerous, and people better start taking it freaking seriously. And that's the problem. The media never has. The media never
hasn't. And then the people don't. And that's what I was saying earlier. This is a common thread, and it's something that I've been trying to work on in my own life to try to figure out like what you can do, because I know that if you're always on like nuke level, like threat 9, like that people aren't going to take it seriously, right? So you have to find a way to like be like, no, but this is really bad, right? Like, no, but this one, like, no, I need you to hear me when I say that this is really bad. And I'm trying to like figure out how to convey when we're at the point where like you have no choice. Like you now need to be like what Chris was saying earlier. Like we're at the hiding people in the attic stage of things, right? Like I'm not being facetious. Like I'm being, right? How do you do that? And it's hard because the media has from the beginning consistently under like valued it. They've minimized it. And we know why that is, like largely because of who they're controlled by. But even in the beginning, when we all read Project 2025 and we brought out that beginning part where they were talking about changing the press corps, and like I was like, hey, y'all might have invested interest in this one, right? Like you might care because they're gonna get rid of you, like they're gonna put other people in there, and they didn't even really report on that. And that was when we knew that we were in real trouble, because self-preservation wasn't even a part of the equation for the press. So if that's not gonna be the factor that gets them to report on the dangers of this administration, I don't know that there is anything. And then without the media, it's harder. It's the grassroots is harder, is what I'm saying. It's so much harder to get these videos out. Like you were saying, if we all did the projector night, Melena, that's such a good idea. That's so good.
Then we need to start. We need to start uploading foreign media, because American media is no good. But if you were to see foreign media headlines, they've got us pegged.
They clocked it.
Yeah, they worldwide, they know what's up, and their headlines are devastating towards America. So we need to just start doing their front page news and downloading it all over the place.
I've seen this film before, they said, and we're not doing it again. I try to share their stuff on a regular basis because it's important to see that the rest of the world feels this way. And thankfully they are getting in the comment section, and they're not, they're being really honest. They're being really bleak and really honest about like how we're viewed. And they're like, a lot of people are like, we will never trust the US again. Like you've lost our trust. Like it's really hard to hear, but it's important.
You can't blame them.
Yeah, no, not even a little bit. In fact, I feel like they're being really kind. Like I feel like the people are being very kind, all things considered. Although I will tell you, somebody wrote in, I gotta share this thread. I don't know how to, like, I didn't take a screenshot of it, but this might make everybody laugh a little bit because we need a little levity. And they're like, I don't know why they don't just take him to a remote part of Alaska and bring a flag and tell him it's a part of Greenland and that they've secured it for the US. They could give him do a ceremony, give him a little trophy, and it would save a lot of trouble. Like, I was like, you know what? I know you're trying to be funny, but I think that would work. Like, I really do. He would not know any different. Like,
see, the thing is, Casey, is that he's got a whole lot of people who want to make money off of Greenland. And so it's not only coming from him, but all of his billionaire buddies.
He's the puppet. And the people that are pulling the strings are getting all this money for their Black Ops besties, right? Like all these people that have all their money tied up and stuff. I mean, it's like somebody pointed out was Doc tweet. Do you have that, Chris? The one that he wrote about the stocks, how everybody sold. Oh yeah.
I don't know. I can
so it was like the idea that
he's manipulating the stocks.
Right. He does this. He behaves in erratic ways. and then he gives the tip off to his friends, and they go dump all the things they need to dump or buy all the things they need to buy.
They buy the dip.
That's the tweet.
They buy
Right.
the tip.
Actually,
And we were the
while
first
we've been
to
on the
do that.
live, my wife sent that to me. Like she texted that tweet. So that's hilarious.
That's so funny.
Thank
It's
you.
so funny.
The
So
one good,
but
the
it's-
one good
Xenia-
thing that could come out of this though is if we truly become isolationist, not of our own volition, and the rest of the world cuts us off, there are things like the fact that we export a lot of natural gas that might push forward renewables in a way that it wouldn't have otherwise. So in terms of the rest of the world, I can see where this might be some net positives in for them, not for us, we're fucked, but for them, they and there is a nugget of truth in what Trump has said about NATO and about the UN, in that there is a reliance on the United States that up to this point has been a good thing. It's given us power, but its power is now a negative. And the fact that the rest of the world is waking up to the fact that, we can't rely on the United States anymore. We can't let them solve our problems. Not for the reasons that Trump wants, but for the rest of the world's benefit. It will strengthen alliances among other nations. It will strengthen the economic ties of other nations. And it will hopefully create a counterweight that has not existed since the fall of the Soviet Union to
but
an authoritarian like Trump.
you're not wrong, but I don't like that because that is a lot of overfunctioning. And really, if we just step back and took care of our people, because that's the reason people aren't investing in their military the way that people here do, because Reagan's people had a hard on for the military, and ever since then, instead of healthcare, we have we have 55 million armies, right? We could fight 50 countries that don't exist. I don't know. It's
the ship has sailed. This has told Europe that you need to remilitarize, and they will remilitarize.
That's great.
Well,
and somebody needed to be a counterpoint or counterbalance, because obviously we did not have the safeguards in place to prevent something like this from happening. And we knew that, by the way.
Right.
Anybody who studied government knew that. It was just a matter of time before somebody got into this position and
we were
this.
going on a lot of gentlemen's agreements.
Honestly, my students were always horrified. That was one of the things we would talk. We would specifically talk about stuff like this, and along with electoral college, were two of the things that were the most horrifying for them. Was what do you fucking mean? They couldn't believe it, and I'm like, yeah, that's America for you.
Did you guys see Gavin Newsom's speech? It was pretty good. I mean, I like the part where someone said,
when did you give a speech?
Well, it was more of a discussion today.
Okay.
And it was there was a live feed on YouTube, and it was one point that he made was that they asked him, okay, has the ship sailed? And he said, no, it's dormant. The ship hasn't sailed, and the United States will be back. And I think that's important for people to remember, that nothing is permanent, right? Nothing is forever, right? Everybody thought that the NATO alliance was forever, and look at what's going on right now. But I think that when we right this ship, I hope that people will not have written us off forever. We're going to lose economic alliance. We're going to lose power. I hope that we're not going to have an economic catastrophe, which is very possible with everything that's going on right now. But I hope that when this is all over and when he's out and we get Democratic leadership again, that the world will come back to us and forgive us for what we have wrought upon the world right now.
I think we have to have an electoral realignment, because I think without that, they're not going to trust that something has really demonstrably changed, right? Like, because
I
there
think we
has
also
to
have
be
to
that.
circle back to we're only 1 year in. Like we
Yes.
don't know. Like it's this bad, and it's 1 year in. He's just getting started. So I don't think.
look
I
at
think
the
predictions at this point aren't really like they're not. You could sort of predict, but it's kind of crazy. Listen to this. Okay, so Newsom's speech was canceled, but listen, he actually clocks what's about to happen. So this was yesterday morning.
It's the United States alone that can protect this giant mass of land, this giant piece of ice, develop it and improve it and make it so that it's good for Europe and safe for Europe and good for us.
And that breaking news. Switzerland. We just learned in the last few hours that a speech from Governor Newsom at the World Economic Forum was abruptly canceled. Just hours before, the governor was in the room when President Trump spoke to world leaders for more than an hour.
It was remarkably boring. It was remarkably insignificant. He was never going to invade Greenland. It was never real. So that was always a fake. And so he says, well, we should negotiate. Well, everybody here has been willing to negotiate for a year. So it had fire and fury signifying absolutely nothing.
Governor Newsom went on to say that he suspects Trump will change his tune about Greenland after his speech sends stock markets slumping.
And so that's exactly what happened. By the end of the day, Trump walked it back and he was like, oh, no tariffs. We're good. I have a framework, or what does he say? I have the concepts of a plan.
Framework of a deal with the UN.
So it was all bullshit. And here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. When we invaded, I'm going to say that, when we invaded Venezuela, I think the world underreacted to that. And I saw, thankfully, there was a difference here. When he was talking about Greenland, when the Danes sent more troops into Greenland, the 2 days before the summit, you could see they were not fucking around. Like Europe
and
was
French
united.
And German. Yeah, all the people.
They were not. Western Europe was not playing with Trump, and I think
it's like Venezuela's president. They're like, oh, that's a bad guy. So and it's like Greenland's over here just minding their own fucking business, and so it's like people just see Greenland as being like, oh, well, that's not right. By the way, not that it should be that way, but
it's absolute lunacy for him to start this war. I mean, it would be in pure insanity. Yeah. I mean, we would lose all of our.
But it accomplishes his goal. You're thinking in rational terms. You're thinking in you're thinking
rational, Milena.
You're thinking in terms of wanting world peace. What his hard on is for is the elimination of NATO. He views NATO as like an existential threat to the sovereignty of the United States in some way, shape, or form. And so were he to invade Greenland, we're all looking at it as the collapse of the world order post-World War II. And he's looking at it as a win because he just made NATO disappear.
Well, yeah, that's everything is about his name and his legacy. That was one of the first things we talked about in our calls was like what's so important to Trump, and his name and his legacy is like the number one thing right next to his family. That's also because that's an extension of his legacy. So
except for Tiffany.
Well, bless her heart.
And I think that it has to do with Putin personally. I mean, I don't see how it benefits him other than financially, like with these billionaires who want to go in and just mine in Greenland. I don't think that it helps him in any way to do what he was planning on doing, except for the fact that it would make Putin happy. In fact, everything he's doing right now is, I'm sure Putin is just like ecstatic every single day. Like, just like, I could not have dreamed that this investment in 2015 would have worked out so effing well.
It's so funny because he is a narcissist, but he's also incredibly incredibly able to be manipulated. Like he absolutely, we've seen it happen in front of our eyes. Like Trump can be manipulated. And so behind the scenes is we've got people pulling the strings, and that's why we see these erratic shifts in behavior. This man is being piloted by other people. And it's important to remember that too, because it's like if we can figure out who those people are and start knocking them off, right? The ones that are closer to him or whatever. I mean, that's what I would also be doing if I were the Democrats. I'm just saying, if I were going to do something with some money behind the scenes, I'd be looking into that and figuring out what I could do there. But I don't have any money like that. And clearly, apparently neither does the Democratic Party, because they're not investing in
Yeah,
influencers
but
or anybody else.
look at the precipice we are on just 1 year in with his lunacy ramblings. We have Europe and NATO arming themselves against us. What the hell? I mean, what the hell?
Isn't it crazy that Europe has just woken up to the fact that
we are now in the axis of evil with North Korea and Russia. It's insanity that neither party has woken up to this in our own country. And now the European Union and NATO are waking up to it, and we are far behind.
I wrote on somebody's post, we're speed running becoming the next North Korea.
It's like the Democrats are parents and they don't know how to parent properly. And this is what this is my thing. It's like they've just turned away because they're like, well, eventually he'll stop acting like an asshole. And so like we're all at dinner, right? And the whole world, like all these other countries are at the table, and you've got this asshole here ruining it for everybody. And the Democrats are like, I mean, we could parent him, but instead we're just gonna sort of like believe. And I like, it sounds like I'm joking, but it's the truth. It's like they really think that at some point, because everything is temporary, this can't possibly last forever. And they think he's gonna die, or I'm not entirely sure. But
it's the philosophy that if he's hurting himself, get out of the way and let him keep hurting himself. But that's not working for all the people that are being rounded up and tortured and bullied and brutalized and killed in these detention facilities. And for the Americans who are losing their health care and they're going to die because they might not have the proper health care, or for the people who can't afford food on their table.
Or the hospitals that close that people don't have access to now because of that.
And women who are giving birth at home.
And these people in Congress, and I'm gonna speak generally because it's not everybody, but a large portion of them have the money to contend with that. Whereas the average person like us, we don't. I'm gonna speak for everybody on here. I don't know what y'all situation's like, but I don't even own a home. Okay. So I really feel like this is I will die on this hill 50 times. Like the Democrats, in addition to messaging, part of the problem that they have is this belief that everybody's it connects to messaging. Everybody's just going to realize that they're the good guys. And if you're standing around not doing shit when this is happening, you're not the good guys. And that's part of the problem, is like standing by and just saying this is bad isn't enough. Going to legislate a few bills here and there isn't enough. If you are being told that your strategy is inadequate, if you're being told that your messaging is not meeting the moment, if you're being told that you're losing elections because you're not investing in candidates, because you're not having some sort of a line of tutorials and picking out candidates, if you don't have a process for that, basically, and that's why you're losing, and you continue to do the same things over and over, you're the bad guys. Like, I don't know what to tell you about that, but it's like this lack of evolution from the Democratic Party makes me want to pull my hair out and escape this godforsaken timeline, because it's
at minimum complicit.
Right. It's just, you cannot tell me. And we've been on calls and you've heard me, and I've done this like over and over. So I'm so sorry to the panel people because they've heard me do this. But it's like, I am never going to get past the point that you are elected to represent people. Also, you're supposed to use good judgment, right? Like that was the whole point. Like that's why we don't have like a full democracy where everybody gets to vote and pick things. We have to have representatives, right? It's practical, but it's also because they're supposed to step in cases like this where some madman is so charismatic that he's conned everybody. They're supposed to be the ones that know better and step in and prevent that. And if we consistently tell you this isn't right and you're like, but there's no other way, then that is some of the laziest fucking thinking. Everything in our history has proven that we have planes in the sky. There's people in space right now. People in space, okay? There wasn't fire at one point. We didn't have fire at one point. We didn't have wheels at one point. And now people are in space. And you're telling me the Democratic Party can't find a fucking way to meet the moment and eclipse the Republicans? I can't. This is going to send me to an early grave.
We need leadership, and that's the problem. And there are a few people out there that are moving forward. And somebody said, like, the Democrats are no saviors. Well, no party is a savior, right? No party is a savior. We need a leader. And that's the problem. And the Democrats need a leader. Yeah. And unfortunately, Hakeem Jeffries is not meeting
He's not the one.
Sure. Okay, fine. I'll do it.
You'll do it, Chris?
I'll do it.
You'll do it. But we need a leader. And I will say that there's a few standouts of some governors and some other people, some people in Congress that are stepping up. Like, I am seeing Eric Swalwell continually speaking out again. He's not perfect, but I'm seeing him like bring it. I'm seeing.
I don't need perfection at this point. Like, I'm not looking for perfection.
I'm seeing Robert Garcia speak out about this all the time. There are some people, and I'm seeing Tina Smith, who's a senator from Minnesota. I'm seeing her speaking out about it because it's her state under attack. I'm not seeing Amy Klobuchar very often. I mean, I've seen her in a couple of engagements.
And even when you're seeing her, she's like playing both sides. It's really
the problem.
I will never forgive her for Al Franken. So that's the end of that.
I've been saying this, Tracy and I've been talking about this. Keep an eye on governor races. Like, help because honestly, Congress is dysfunctional right now. And if we can get more blue governors, it helps everything because that's the executive, and we need to, support them.
I've got my eye on Abigail Spanberger. I'm really interested to see how she handles this because now that our state is like very blue, and we're going to start passing progressive legislation. They've already started doing it. Like, in one day, they passed the marriage equality. They codified abortion rights. I can't like it was all four things.
They took away the ISIS partnerships with all of their law enforcement with the 287G reform that she did.
Knocked it out. They just came in there and they're like,
bam,
she's gonna do great.
But she's done some progressive things, even though she was considered to be a very moderate candidate because the Democrats had the capacity to do it. And I just wish that everybody could have that, like what Milano said. If everybody could just be in that mindset of this is temporary, but we have to invest in the future, right? Like, this is not going to be forever, but we have to invest in the future. So I know that at some point, the Democrats won't be consistently booed at the polls, right? There's going to be an electoral realignment. We're going to see a shift. We're going to see an emergence of either another party or a different kind of Republican Party. And we're going to see it kind of balance out more so that the Democrats don't have to carry every single group of people, and that the Republican alternative aren't the villains of terrible people. Like, right? Like that right now, it's hard for me to fathom how you could be a Republican. Like, I really don't. Like, how could you possibly want to characterize yourself as a Republican? I think a lot of people feel that way, and they're looking for a home. And it's going to take the right leaders, right? So we'll see somebody from the Republicans step up, not Marjorie Taylor Greene, but somebody else. And then you're going to see a Democrat at some point come up, and then you're going to see everybody kind of go, but that's going to be a while. So in the meantime, you have to think more broadly and speak more broadly and invest money in people so that they can share your stories and do some of the work, because candidates can't do it themselves. They're too busy like actually legislating. So like Milena said, we have to be the ones that do the work, but nobody wants to do it for people that are going to just get up in front of the cameras and both sides things when there are Nazis. Like, that's just not
for the Democrats. I am extremely happy that Josh Shapiro shot himself in the foot this week by being petty against Kamala Harris.
That was great.
Because as a Pennsylvanian, I am telling you, he is not the guy. I have several friends that work in Harrisburg that are Democrats that are telling me that he is not the guy. Like, and I could tell you that from last summer at the Kamala Harris rally where she introduced Tim Walz, and hearing Josh Shapiro speak at that rally where it's a vibe, and granted it's the vibe I get, but it was the vibe that he felt very self-aggrandizing, and that was borne out in her book. And the fact that he chose to shoot back at her in the way that he did shows that her gut reaction to not pick him was correct. And anyone that throws his name up, you shoot that down.
Yeah, I have.
Before we leave, I saw Xenia had written something about self-care. And I think that that's so important because what we're going through is not just traumatizing certain groups, it's traumatizing everyone. And so I hope that everyone takes time to care for themselves, takes time to look at cute little puppies like Chris's puppies, watches some funny videos, watches something fun on TV, take some time to go take a walk, be with trees, do a meditation. And I have been meditating since I've been 5 years old. I want to just share a quick meditation that I thought of one day that is very helpful to me. And I hope that it can help you. And that is the Big Mama, Big Dada meditation. And what you do is you visualize, I hope you don't mind me talking about this, but sometimes you just wish that there was someone that could take care of you, but it's not always a real parent figure that you can look to think of, that's my caretaker, because not everybody had the perfect mom or the perfect dad. But what it is you visualize a bigger version of yourself, a giant you, picking yourself up in your arms, cradling you, doing whatever you can to soothe yourself, to take care of you, to take care of your emotions, to give you joy, to make you laugh, to distract you from all of the shit in this world. And yes, please give us the magic of the little puppies. I want to see them close up. Chris, can you make it big?
Look at that.
Oh my gosh, look at them. They're so cute.
Look, when they get on they start walking and they have their little cute bellies.
Ugh.
Oh my gosh.
That's so sweet.
All right. Well,
wait. I have a
So hopefully that
advice.
makes everybody feel better.
I have a wait, Melina, were you done with your?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Okay. This is the in addition to that, I guess, like I would say, for some people who maybe are neurodivergent like me and have a hard time with meditation abstract it's hard. I do try, but it is hard. So this is a practical guide that I went through with my therapist today and we worked out. Because the bottom line is that it is not normal life and you will not be able to find real balance in the way that you can do everything, right? But you are going to have to take time for yourself. You're going to have to separate out and take time. So for the people who are struggling, what we came up with is make a list of your negotiables and your non-negotiables, right? And so you look at tasks now as, is this absolutely necessary and does this need to be done? Or is this something that I would like to be done? And it would be great if it could be, but it's not necessary, right? Like, so laundry that's sitting in a basket, if you don't absolutely need to wear it, like, does it need to be put away or can it sit there while you sit down and take a minute to watch cute puppy videos? Like, right? Whatever you do to take that time to nurture yourself, which is very important and needed to balance all of the horrors. So trying to figure out in kind of assess what your non-negotiables are and doing those first, knocking those out. And then if you have room for a negotiable, that's great. But if not, then you just let it go and go watch your puppy videos or your murder shows like I do, the Foreign Murder Show, like whatever it is for you, gardening or whatever activity that you're going to have to do more of because there's so much badness, but let some of the non-negotiables go. And that sounds silly because it sounds like something that we should all just know. But I think you need to be given permission at this point to know that this is not normal life. And that you are not expected to cope normally and that your house is not expected to look normally. And if anybody is saying that to you, then they're on the side of the fucking Nazis. And you need to remember that. Okay.
And coping ahead is like such a great way to do it, to like find a little piece too. And that's like getting good at something, whether it be knitting or crocheting or a musical instrument or singing or some kind of sport. Getting good at something makes you feel good about yourself. So working on something, it helps you to cope ahead so that you feel good about yourself and about the world for at least that little bit of time.
Wait, do you have the slide, Chris, to put up the call to action? Because I can't put it up. Okay.
I'm going to put it up. So I wanted to share this video with you guys. I'm sorry?
I didn't fix it either. So sorry, guys. The formatting's not great, but just it says what it needs to say. So it's fine.
Okay.
Go on, Chris.
So we're going to play this video first because there is hope. There is some fissures in the blockade.
A familiar dilemma. Should they give DHS even more money as the government barrels toward another budget deadline at the end of the month? Or do they, at a minimum, make sure this does not go down without a fight?
This is hypothetical because Democrats don't have the numbers right now to dismantle or abolish ICE.
They do have the ability to put up a fight in just a couple of weeks.
In a couple of weeks, they could force a government shutdown over funding for DHS. Are you willing to have another government shutdown over this issue?
I'm not willing to vote for a budget bill that continues to fuel the violent behavior of that entity, ICE. I'm not willing to vote for a budget bill that doesn't present any major changes to the current condition, which is an entity that has become a very aggressive and violent weapon. And so I'm not willing to vote for that.
You have said that you won't vote for a single dollar to fund Trump's ICE operations until there are reforms. So what are you demanding, and is that leverage that can actually work?
Well, what I'm saying is exactly as you quoted, that I am not going to cast a vote, not one dime, to support this lawless, brutal Trump ICE operation. So what I'm saying is, unless there are significant reforms to rein in this lawless ICE operation, and there was a federal judge that just this week said that ICE agents were violating people's constitutional rights, right? They were preventing them from engaging in protected, peaceful protest. So my view is there has to be dramatic change. I don't foresee this administration doing that at this moment. So I'm saying I won't provide any funding.
So we need every Democrat in Congress, in the House, in the Senate. I mean, the House needs to keep talking. Like, they need to be speaking on this too, even though they had their vote. The Senate needs to, we need to call our senators. Casey, go ahead. Casey made this graphic.
Yeah, sorry. I made this before I knew that the House was going to act so foolishly. Sorry. My bad. I would have said Senate because when I made this, I had the hope that we were going to stop it in the House. But now call your senators. And so what you're going to want to do is tell them that you don't, like, I would just keep it simple and just say that you don't want any of your money funding ICE, funding Department of Homeland Security, and that you want this government shut down until that changes. So, right, like, just for them, and just say you want it shut down. You can just write it down. Write a sentence out. I actually have a video I'm going to publish tonight where I tell you a script, right? Like, it's really easy. You just say, I've seen the horrors. I've seen, like, whatever you've seen that hurt, like, is bothering you, say that explicitly. I don't want my taxpayer money funding that. Vote no. And then what I said was, like, I would like a call back if you plan to vote yes. If you vote yes on this, you absolutely need to call me or send communication or do something. I need to hear from you because I need to understand what the fuck is wrong with you. I did not add that last part in, but, like, you know, like, you can, whether they will or not, that's, I can't say, but I would say accountability wise, like, that you plan to hold them accountable, like that this is a deal breaker for you, that if somebody supports this administration and what ICE is doing, share this with your friends and neighbors. Like, so you need to be like, hey, did you call your senator? Because you've looked it up and you know who it is. So now you're like, hey, did you call Senator Kaine? Like, or whoever your senator is. I have them saved in my phone. Here, let me show you. And I'll show you in the video later. But, like, you can go ahead and save your people so that every single time you call them, you can see, like, oh, look, I know who that person is. And you can give them cute nicknames or mean nicknames or, like, whatever you need, so that it's always there and you don't have to call the switchboard. And then you can share that contact with your friends and family. You can send a group text to your family members, right? Like, hey, everybody, you're on a group chat now. Here's my senator's contact information. Can you go ahead and call that office? And you're going to get a person. You tell them you're going to get like an intern that's answering phone calls probably, and just give them your name and tell them that you don't want them to vote for the spending bill.
But they have to record it. They have to take the note down.
Yes.
They
yes.
have to.
Right.
And
that's really important.
You don't have to do it when you're at home. You don't have to carve out time. You can call. I call on my commute. Like if I'm stuck in traffic, I'm dialing that number, and maybe I'm spending 10 minutes.
And the thing about calling Republicans, like you might go, why am I wasting my time with Republicans? Is that these calls are counted nationally. So your call to your senator might not make a difference to that senator, but it might take pressure off other Republican senators who might be voting in that way. Yep. So by calling somebody here who says they're from Alaska and they don't have Democratic senators, you should still call, especially Lisa Murkowski.
Especially
Sullivan,
Republicans, because they will hide and say that, oh, well, like our constituents don't want it. You do not give them that. Do not give them that piece. And by the way, especially if you have family members who are moderates or registered Republicans, because if they're willing to call and say, I don't like this, like I want secure borders, but I don't want this, and I don't want you paying for this, then that most people are on your side. So it would be really impactful.
Ask your family members if they do feel that way, if they are not willing to call, if you can call for them.
Yes.
And you can even use their phone. You can even do it right there with them so they see what to say and how easy it is. Or if you're really renegade, you'll just do it anyway.
And just remember, everybody, everything that's happening right now with ICE is in our name because our tax dollars were used to fund this. People gave up health care so that ICE is funded.
Yep.
So this should piss everybody.
They're forgiving their student loans. Y'all are out here. We're paying our student loans. They're forgiving ICE officers their student loans. They don't have to pay their student loans back. That's crazy. Also, if you think about it, and I need you to think about it this way, it will feel like you're not doing anything. It will feel like it is impossible to get anybody to listen to you. And you're right, if it were just you. But if everybody, like not even everybody, we don't even need everybody. We just need like a little bit more people to do this. And then I promise you it will make an impact. I promise you that when they start realizing that their campaign dollars are impacted by this, and that they will not get elected if they keep supporting this administration, we will see the tiles start to fall. I don't know what game is that when they, whatever.
I have a friend. I have a friend who, during the healthcare fight, called all the senators and just looked up names and addresses in every state because they sometimes will ask you for an address. And use like Google Voice to do it. So, it didn't necessarily always have the same area code but it's okay because a lot of people don't have the same area code as their their phone, right?
Yeah,
I mean, I have friends who have
moved. I have a Florida number. Yeah.
Right. So
the point
anyway,
is,
that's an idea.
You can write, and Democrat or Republican. And I mean, Republicans are feeling the heat too. Why do you think they're so afraid to do town halls?
That's exactly it. That's
And
exactly
those are the best
They
town
don't.
halls. I mean, I love Republican town halls because they're getting dragged
Hey,
for film.
bonuses if you have social media accounts and you're willing to record yourself or take a picture or something to show other people that you've done it, because if more people are sharing that out, that's also, they can't deny at that point. Republicans can't say this isn't happening if people are calling and leaving them voicemails during or talking to people in their office. So if you feel comfortable sharing something like that so others can learn from you, like do that, tag people and start tagging celebrities too. Hell, like tag everybody, just tag everybody in there. Just get them all involved.
All right, guys.
Be careful with that, though. My dad got banned from Twitter for doing that.
Maybe Facebook.
All right, everybody.
I'm tagging Messi. Messy.
we're wrapping, but we'll be back next week, same time. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks,
Thank you very much, Chris.
Thanks everybody
Thanks, everybody.
for the chat. We really appreciate the comments.